Hey guys, welcome to another episode of 4Player Animecast. I am your host for the evening, Spire, and it is 20th of July, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are in the smack dab of it all. Weather's only growing, or temperature's only growing hotter by the second. I'm sure it's even worse in like Japan/Korea because it's like over there people are just like dying pretty much, just like keeling over in the streets. But yeah, we're smack dab in the middle of the season, and we're gonna be talking about a little bit some of the more bigger names. Although a lot of the series this time around have pretty big names or are pretty interesting series that people might want us to review. So it's pretty good going so far. But yeah, let's just get down straight into it. First off, Dark, how have you been doing these past 2 weeks?
You know, starting new stuff,
Gone,
playing
gone on.
Final Fantasy's new
Ah, yes.
expansion, completed like everything I can do right now, so I'm just kind of waiting,
hmm
doing other classes and stuff. That's pretty much it.
Huh?
Just
Uh,
learning about female Thor. Actually, that's Thor 4, I guess.
oh my god.
Wait, actually?
Yeah, it's Natalie Portman, new Thor. Thor,
Uh,
Love and Thunder.
nah.
Got a pretty cool logo, but at the same time, I would have rather have seen if we're getting a female Thor, someone who's like shredded out of their mind.
That'd be pretty cool.
I want
Just
like big buff Thor. Come
there,
on now. Cool logo though.
yeah. But okay, so pretty standard stuff going on then. Okay, what about you, Nier? Have the past 2 weeks been going on?
Well, all things considered, I'm pretty good. Shadowverse got nerfs. Thank God. Um,
I mean, Shadowverse is very up and down like that.
yeah, they got emergency nerfs to the cards that were literally breaking the game. Um, so it's playable now. In fact, uh, I had some interesting uh, thoughts from some other people. Um, where a lot of people are saying they seem to think Shadowverse right now is maybe the most balanced it's ever been in
That's pretty
terms of
in rotation. You mean?
in
Yeah,
rotation.
yeah,
Apparently, in Unlimited, it's awful, but in
yeah. I mean,
rotation,
I,
it's
I like I like how
very
Kimono was
healthy.
just like Hearthstone Wild is all in balance, like all out of balance, and we'll try to actually work on stuff. And literally everybody was like, yeah, okay, all right,
Yeah,
you do that.
they're not doing that. But yeah, apparently, uh, a lot of people um have like the consensus that right now Shadowverse in rotation is like the healthiest it's been. Pretty much every craft has a viable deck, um,
Mhm.
and viable in the terms of like you can actually win with it fairly consistently. Not like
Right, right, right.
every like once a day you'll win with this deck, right?
And it's not just like
Um,
a million different flavors of like rune or something like that.
yeah. Uh, so very cool. Other than that, I started watching uh Kamen Rider Amazon. Um,
Oh,
finally.
okay.
Pretty good. Um, I like it quite a bit.
Wait,
Uh,
which one? The original?
no, the new one.
Oh, Amazon's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
cool.
it's pretty cool. It's kind of weird. Watching a Kamen Rider after like so long and it being like so different. Um, because Amazon's is not a traditional Kamen Rider by any sense.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
like they don't even say fucking Henshin. Um, but pretty good, pretty cool. Other than that, I've been keeping up with Dr. Stone.
Ah,
I
yes, yes.
watched a bit of Fire Forest, which I'll be covering,
Mhm.
and what else did I watch? Um, oh, I watched a teeny bit of Lord El Malloy.
Okay.
But yeah, that's about it for me.
Okay. Toast, what about you?
What?
I said, what about you?
What about me? What?
What we've been talking about just now. What we talk about every start of episode, Toast. Can we work on our memorization skills? What's happening here?
I started playing Azure Lane. It's all right.
Oh yes, you. I'm surprised that you just started playing Azure Lane. I feel like you would have had it like as a side game, but just not like grinded super hard in it or something for a while. But
I avoided MOBA because of the same reason as Fate, except on like a 1/100th of a level. But it's all right.
Yeah. Oh, that's reasonable.
It's easy mode compared to Kantai Collection.
Really?
Kantai Collection's more of a real man's game compared to Azure Lane,
Are you playing the English?
Yes.
The English version, right? Oh, okay.
Azure Lane's more of a waifu game. Kantai Collection's is a.
Well, the pace of the localization,
stuff.
especially because it's like slightly behind, might be a little bit different. You know what I mean?
That has nothing to do with it. The whole core combat and in general it's different. Your ships can't die.
Okay.
That's easy mode. It's like let's say Kantai Collection is a roguelike and Azure Lane is a character action game. Sure, why not?
Okay. So it's a little bit.
Why is Nagato gotta be a little girl?
I mean, again,
That's weird.
half the ships in Azure Lane
are
like lolly ships for some reason.
Akagi and Kaga and Takao and Atago aren't, but everyone else is. That's weird.
Yeah, it's like weird. I don't know why it's like that, to be honest. But some people are like, yeah, I like totally prefer the Azure Lane versions. And I'm just like, I don't really see why. They're just lolly versions of the ships. They're not like.
You should see the English comments
exactly.
on some of these ships.
What do you mean you don't see why?
No,
gee, I wonder why.
Azure Lane's designs aren't even
other than the fetish, what I'm saying is
no, they're not.
It's literally like, okay, if the dresses, if it was like lollies, and then if it had like cooler dresses or something, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can kind of see that. But it's not like they have better dresses; they just are slightly more flashy. You know what I mean? It's like,
well,
or like
Chicago
sometimes they have
is
a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
the problem I have with Azure Lane is like you can have two sister ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in Kantai Collection, if ships are in like the same class or they're like sister ships, they share similar designs, right? Like they share design elements.
Exactly.
But in Azure Lane, you can have
it's
two
just like all over the
ships,
place. Yeah,
and they're
exactly.
drawn by two different artists.
Yeah, and it's all over the place.
They don't even look the same. Like
Yeah.
they're nothing alike. And it's well, at least have some consistency. It's
like one can be in like a super like Japanese imperial like white military outfit, and the other one can just be in like this random yukata, and you're like, oh, okay, sure.
hey, but they're both Japanese, so. You think that could be a pull for it though, in a way?
What do you mean by that?
Just like the amount of like variety that's just there.
I mean, sure, for
Probably.
people like do not give a single shit about like
what the ship
ships
aspect
they actually are,
because it's like
they're related to stuff like that.
Because it's like one slight complaint. It's like if one artist like starts. I don't want to bring up the meme specifically, but like starts throwing kind of like potatoes, right, for the ships, and then it's like that line of ships is something that you might want to see better done. Then you're kind of fucked, right? Because it's like that artist is gonna draw all of them like that. So
you know that there's virtually no difference between Azure Lane Kaga and regular Kaga, other than regular Kaga or Azure Lane Kaga has white hair and ears. That's it.
Yeah, I mean there are some.
Kagi's different though.
Why do you say regular Kaga? Like what? You mean Kantai Collection Kaga?
That's that's the regular one.
Yeah.
Normal.
Also, which one was the pretty cool one?
You mean Chicago?
No, She's all right, but she's not as cool
She's
as.
all right. She's got a dog.
Yeah, but I have a dog, so what?
Yeah, you strap guns to it.
Yeah,
I bet you don't. Wait, is that? Oh yeah, that's okay on Twitch now.
I have a sword. I can strap a sword to my dog. What's your point? Anyway, what was the super cool one?
I don't know.
Honolulu. There you go. Yeah,
Baby ships.
Honolulu's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Oh, Honolulu's.
Just
Honestly,
peop-
I'm pretty biased towards the usual like meme ships like Unicorn Rune. You know, like the
Wow, you're
pretty
you pervert.
pretty mainstream one. But,
Also, people are saying that Deutsch. Is it Deutschland? Is that her name? Deutschland? Is that how you
I-
pronounce it? I'm not. Dark, help me out here.
Probably.
yeah, I think that's
Deutschland.
I mean, that's how you pronounce
Deutschland?
Deutschland. Deutschland, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are saying Deutschland's summer outfit is better than Honolulu. I say, you're a pervert and you're wrong. Honolulu's better.
okay. Sure.
Did you know that most?
Yeah, do they both have freaky live 2D?
I wish. Well, actually, no, but Honolulu's is
Are they all
animated.
like? Is that what that? Well, I mean, just like whatever WebM you linked that time, where the character shakes and they look like
Yeah, that's
yeah, it
not
looks
live
like
2D.
Mario's face from fucking Mario 64.
But did you know that
They jiggle around.
I noticed a pattern with American ships? You notice their hair is only 3 colors: red, white,
Yeah,
and
like
blue.
Americans.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
and then
enough
all
of
and,
that.
and all the British ships are like blonde.
Yeah,
Blue
I mean,
eyes.
there's, I mean, that theme is pretty common.
Then how
not
come
just-
how come all Japanese ships have black hair?
Now I don't know if you've seen Japanese
All
people, but
right, I think on that note, we're gonna move on.
you're saying
Thank you.
overwhelming majority have it.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you, Toast, for telling us a little bit more about your Zero Lane experience. But
I'm not done yet.
no, okay. So
I'm stuck at 3-4 farming a Kage and Kaga. I have to get to 10-2 for Honolulu.
Okay.
That-
Well, Toast is on the grind there. As for me, I've been actually trying to get a little bit more back into light novel, web novel reading. I'm honestly at this point kind of giving up on manga unless somebody like some people are like really all over it, and then I'll kind of check it out. But usually I have been kind of like whatever.
Spire, what's your side on the war?
On what or
The war between hentai subs versus English dubs.
what the fuck?
Did you not miss the big war where people were talking about English, like the English dubs with actual porn people and hentai subs?
I don't.
In what?
I didn't see any of that.
I don't
Yeah,
think I should name the title, but
Well, if you don't name it, don't.
Wait, yeah, but like, where did you see it?
internet.
Uh,
I'm not.
Where
yeah.
on it though?
Yeah.
I don't think I should give you the website. You
Oh,
pervert.
okay.
No, I didn't take.
It's not the dark web or the deep web. It's just
Well, no, I didn't.
Yeah, the deep web arguing about fucking hentai subs.
I mean, I didn't expect it to be like on Ashley Madison or something like that. Like, I mean, but either way, no, I didn't take any sides in it. But that's an interesting piece of information. But yeah, I was kind of trying to get back into web novel stuff. Kind of kicking back. I've been trying to. In real life, I've been going through a couple of stuff in with regards to just real life. Also, especially with regards to trying to keep up, change some stuff in my scheduling. So it's been kind of interesting. It's weird because it's like I've I've like I've down okay. So all of the series, or not series, excuse me. So I've downloaded a couple of visual novels from a while, about like I want to say 1 or 2 months back. The issue is it's like all of this visual novels I want to actually like seriously get through are like the big ones, are ones that are, you know, at least medium to long. You know what I mean? Like 20, 30 plus hours kind of stuff. So I'm just sitting here like, fuck. like all of the short ones I don't really want to invest in, and all the ones I want to invest in, I'm just like, so
Why
it's
why don't you invest in the 2 hour ones?
because I don't really want to. I don't really like them.
Why
That's the
not?
thing.
Why
They're
don't you
two
stream some of them?
they're 2
Yeah,
hours.
stream
You-
them in Zubu.
You can
Yeah.
get maybe 10 uses out of it before you get tired of it.
10 uses. What exactly are you talking about, Toast? Use? I mean, I feel like I could take a guess, but I'm not entirely sure.
If an anime episode is 30 minutes, that's about 10 uses, right?
What the fuck?
Wait, what?
Okay,
What does that mean?
hold on here. Whatever that meaning is, I'm going
That's
to
what
refute.
you know. 30 times 10 is 300 minutes, and that
I don't-
Yeah.
that
Yes.
translates to 5 hours. You can stretch the content out of it
Uh,
on a Let's
What?
Play.
Dude, I don't know
I'm
what.
still not sure what you're. Okay, I don't think that was
Dark,
relevant
you just said he's gonna stream it, right? You can get at least 5 hours out of a 2 hour thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
there
that
you
was
go.
what you're talking about. Yeah, sure, maybe we'd have to find a proper.
I don't know. How
platform.
long did it take us to get through teaching Feeling?
Yeah.
Hey man, we didn't get through that, okay?
The only
We
thing that
hit the end loop, didn't we?
Hit a wall.
Oh yeah, that's true. It was like part of the bad end with the with the other the suspicious person coming or whatever. Yeah. But anyway.
I heard you're not supposed to dingle her, otherwise you get locked into a route. Did you dingle her?
Point of the game.
And
Absolutely, and yeah, that's the whole
Yeah.
point.
I heard
That's
that
not
if you,
that's not how you get locked into that. I think-
what?
Spire just fucked up like
Did-
some dialogue choice.
Yeah, we
What's
were
the-
running.
Really
Did you
we were
choose the
running
pan? Did you choose the burger Spire, or was it the burger?
actually-
It was a sandwich that
Yeah.
would kill her.
You can't give her the sandwich. Kills
Yeah,
her.
yeah. Also, it if I remember correctly, when we were running it, we were actually doing it raw, right? It wasn't. It was it?
It was like half translated. It was
Yeah, it
like
was half.
really
No,
fucking
yeah,
bad.
yeah. I remember it was like we were running through it, and then like we were in the garden just as we were about to meet the evil person. Then it started becoming just Japanese, right?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, you
wild.
had. I think you had to translate.
Yeah, I had to like translate it live. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? But yeah, anyways, that's sort of my situation right now. I'm seriously trying to get back into light novels, web novels. And,
What's your favorite right now? What's the hot topic?
in terms hot, I don't know.
What's the
about
hot
topic.
new isekai that will eventually get a light or a
I
an
haven't
anime?
fully updated. I'm just going through the stuff I already know right now. But you know, I've already said this multiple times. Sukiga Michibiku Isekai Dochu, stuff like that. I'm
When's
Summer
that one?
Slaughter.
You mean Moonlit Journey Through Another World?
Yes, stuff like that. Again, I'm going through a lot of the stuff that I already know. Hopefully, I'll hit on some new stuff again. This will also allow me to kind of keep ahead of sort of series that are probably going to be made into anime because that's just how it is.
What? Keep ahead of who? Me? You can't keep ahead of me.
No, not keep ahead of you, but
I mean, you cannot beat me when it comes to isekai anime,
I mean, I already have, but that's beside the point. But
and that's why
don't know.
you get Ari Furita.
But I think it's because of how Japan is right now. They're just fucking taking everything off Shosetsu, so it's gonna allow me to at least kind of be like, I guess this series is gonna be anime, and then we're all gonna be sad, and it's gonna be kind of whatever.
But
But
Spire,
either way,
Shiosetsu is award winning.
the fact that the fact that Shosetsu is like. The fact that people are now unironically allowed to put on posters like, "Oh, this has 500,000 bookmarks on Shosetsu," and that's like supposed to be a value add for the poster. It's actually like the silliest thing. I'm so like upset about that. Also, yeah, it's late talking and chat about Isekai Cheat Musician and Uchi Musume, right? Uchi Musume is pretty nice. Again, I like the fact that it did go pretty straight into the after story. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's I just after when it goes into the after story, I think it turns into a relatively standard romance, which is like kind of whatever. But it's an interesting premise either way. So, anyways, with that being said, I think we should start moving on. First on the list, Toast. What do you want to cover for today?
I forgot to get a picture. Hold on.
Oh my god.
Nope, that's mine. Don't look at it. Where is it? Are you there? There you are. Okay. I covered. Well, today.
Yes.
Speaking of isekai, I covered. Why wasn't it appearing? There's. Or I watched Maou-sama Retry or Demon Lord Retry as
Yes.
it's called in Japanese. English.
Well, I mean,
What?
Well, I mean, it's pretty similar. Both titles, it's not much to translate, to be honest, right? But anyways, yeah, keep going.
So, have you guys watched something called Overlord?
No.
Alright.
Yes.
So, well, okay. How about Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Sided Dimensions? Or heck,
Wait a minute.
heck,
Hold up.
heck,
Where's
even
this
the
going?
original Yu-Gi-Oh!
Sure. Yes.
You guys know who Seto Kaiba is, right?
It's about
Never
Kenshin
heard of
Suda. It's the voice actor behind Kisetsu Kaiba, right?
Yeah. What's his name? The Kaiba guy, Kaiba man.
Suda Kenjiro.
Yeah, him, Kaiba man. He voices the Mao, which means
Yes.
Demon Lord in English. And
Yes.
okay, you know how in Overlord where the
about?
dude's like, oh no, the game that I've been playing for like 15 years is about to go down at midnight. JS 00 JST. I don't know when that is in American time. And he's all like, hey dudes who played this game with me, Infinity Game, for all this time, GG. The game's about to die.
Yeah.
And he's all like, yeah, I'm gonna sit here at my computer and wait till the game dies. And then the clock hits 00 and the game dies, and he closes his eyes. And then he hears a voice. Some chick's like, hey you, get over here. And he's like, oh no. Then he falls through like some sort of weird like cyber wormhole, I think. And then he wakes up in a field and he's all like, what the heck is this? But he doesn't wake up in his human form. He wakes up as his avatar, the Demon Lord, Hakuto Kunai.
So, Nier, you generally know what the idea of Isekai Mao to Shokan Shoujo no Dorei Majesty, or like how not to summon
Hey, that's mine.
Demon Lord, right?
Yeah.
It's essentially the beginning of so it's like slightly the beginning of Overlord, and then it transitions straight into the other one, how not to summon Demon Lord. That's essentially what this series is.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
Okay.
Except they're both better than this. Anyway, he wakes up in a thing. Then he meets some blonde chick with one eye named Aku, who's a crippled leg, and people are calling Yellow Rem, and I'm like, stop that.
Oh, God.
Did you see that? Did you see that comment where people are all like, "Is that Yellow Rem?" And I'm like, "No, that's Aku, the shape-shifting master of evil."
Imagine.
And then Aku's being chased by some sort of sealed demon, and then Kaiba's like, "Get out of my way, loser!" And then he punches it, and then she's like, "Wow, you're so strong, Maou-sama." He's all like, "Shut up! Don't call me that."
So I'm pretty.
And then that's it. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Then they have adventures but
Yeah.
that's beside the point.
So I'm guessing. I mean, I'm just again. I have not read the series, but
It's not good.
I might. Yeah, I mean, I might end up like finding it through Shosetsu or not Shosetsu, like translate or whatever. Probably aren't. I'm not gonna read it, but the idea is so like each kind of isekai has some sort of focus or like balance between what they do, right? So it's like for Overlord, a lot of it's more just like um the Overlord himself, right? Ain's Momonga just setting up shop, right, and doing stuff. And then, for instance, in Isekai Love,
Shokugeki no Soma.
yeah, it's Shokugeki no so also an Isekai, but in How Not to Summon Demon Lord, it's kind of like the usual, a little bit more standard balance between the adventure slash rescue arc, and then sort of it has specs of the harem slash more sort of fan service in there, and then it has sort of like a break chapter, and then it goes back into sort of setting up the adventure, right? So that's sort of how the balance goes. What is the balance like in this series?
None.
None.
So
No
far,
balance.
there's like let's see, how many? 3 episodes. All the Mao did, the reluctant Mao. I have to emphasize that he's all like, "Oh no,
He's so reluctant.
I'm
he
the
doesn't want
Mao. Don't call me that in public. It makes me look uncool
What?
and whatnot." He's very much like the
it's like the beta male protagonist, but in isekai form.
Don't call me a demon lord. That's uncool. Like,
Yeah.
what?
yeah. And he's all like, "Don't call me an
it's like Chuni or whatever.
and he's like, "Don't call me Osan. I'm still Onichan," and I'm like, "You."
Oh yeah, because he's like the older kind of side. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
it's like how
understand.
Momonga has his inner Momonga and his outer Momon, or his outer Ains.
Outer like persona. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. It's kind of like that. And yeah, what did they do? He found her in the forest. He found a ring. Yeah, he figured out that the reason he was summoned is because some dudes made a wish on the Dragon Balls and gave up their lives to summon him. Then Shenron gave him a cursed ring because she was out of power, and she was all like, "I can't grant your wish to go back, but here, have this ring. Maybe it'll give you another wish." And he's all like, "Darn." And then they went to a village. He burned a village, and now they're at some town that's about to be attacked by demons.
Right.
There's really nothing much that happened. It's trying to attempt some world building where here's the Holy Light City, and here's one of the 3 priestesses, but the Demon Lord spanks her on the butt because she's a little girl, and he's all like, "Shut up, little girl." And and then the little girl's elder sister shows up, and he's all like, "Shut up, elder sister." And it's about, I mean, there's really not much to go on with this show.
Okay.
No
Well,
overlying plot. No, not many. Not the I read the manga, and not the other interesting characters haven't shown up yet.
I mean, this is pretty like par for the course.
No,
Right?
par for the Spire. Par for the course would be
Yeah.
How-
you dare insult Maou-sama Retry?
par for the course would be how not to summon a demon lord. I don't know. That's a little.
I mean,
It's just sounding awfully
how not to summon a demon lord is par.
I would put them pretty much on the same level.
No.
But-
This is below that.
Well,
Another thing that would be par for the course would be what's it called? Death March. Yeah, Death March is also par for the course. It's not that good.
Is it?
Yeah,
Well, I guess
Spire.
Spire. Par is like pretty. Yeah. Okay. No, I can agree.
Par for the course is 5. Below
I can agree with
let's put Knights and Magic at 10.
No.
Overlord at 10. Whatever. Let's go. Wait, are you insulting Knights and Magic?
No, I like
Dark, let's beat him up.
Let's not.
Dark, let's beat him up.
Let's not
Listen,
go.
don't get
too
me
hard.
involved in this isekai shit, alright? There's I like an isekai one time, and all of a sudden I'm a fucking ally.
You're my only friend in this situation, Dark. Anyway, where was
I
I?
would agree. I would say Knights and Magic is at a 10. And I'll leave
There
it
you
at
go. See, Spire, you're losing. Anyway,
Nah.
Go, man.
that. Not a 10 out of 10 in general. But for isekais, it's a 10.
And then let's say other
low.
subpars. This
I
would
can
be
agree
around
with
the
your
level of. This would be around the level of what's it called? Smartphone, or isekai cheat magician. Let's go there. And then above a little above par, but not too much, like a 6. Kenja no Majo. And then we got Slime Tensei up at the 10 as well. You see my scale? This one's pretty lackluster and subpar so far.
I'm not saying that your scale is necessarily super wrong, but I think some of the series that you're putting is pretty suspect. But I can agree with the whole
What
Apart
are you
from
gonna put? What is it? Isekai restaurant? Is that gonna be a 10 as well?
I wouldn't say that. It's pretty slow. Oh, not slow, but it's like the idea of it kind of starts lagging behind pretty hard. But either way,
Well,
I would say from what you've said that I would agree with Maou-sama Retry being worse than How Not to Summon Demon Lord, but the reason why I would agree is a little bit like it's essentially the same thing, but How Not to Summon Demon Lord has probably significantly better pacing. Like the way it kind of like switches between the scenes.
It has
like,
better pacing, better animation, better characters, better comedy.
Hey man, Maou-sama Retry has the blonde Rem, okay? So we can't forget about that.
What as for the like the visuals, I mean they're okay. They're not really good. Nothing really. There's nothing really eye catching about them.
Alright.
Except maybe
The question I would have is that because there hasn't been like any action, or is it more that they're just like not even that great in like,
it's not
standard
like
motions?
it's not like it's super bad. It's just everything's pretty bright but flat. Like there's no super cool shadings and gradients. It's mostly one flat coloring to them. What studio was this? And what studio Ikachi Apilka? What the heck are they?
I think
and they've done Fumikiri Chikan.
so they're very like small, or not very small, but they're
New.
pretty much like in between studio kind of people. They're kind of trying to branch out. But okay.
I mean, like I said, it's not bad. It's just pretty flat. Nothing really stand out. It. See, super cool about it. Like you know what super cool looks like. Have you seen JC Staff?
Yeah, me.
Well,
Stop.
yeah,
No, not JC Staff. What's it called?
JC Staff, all right.
What are those guys called?
Dark is getting
Shaft.
more offended in a minute.
Shaft. Yeah,
Look,
Shaft
I
is cool.
haven't seen Accelerator, so like the jury is still out.
Is it though?
Well, the jury's still out as to whether or not
the funny
they
thing
can
is,
do anything anymore.
the funny thing is, if we get Dark to be like, yeah, Accelerator actually had better overall audio visuals than Index 3, then we're just in this like the worst.
Dude,
honestly.
I mean, from the fucking PV alone, it did. Like the PV for Accelerator had better like AV than anything I had seen so far for Index 3, which I haven't actually watched yet.
What a timeline!
So I gotta get the Blu-rays.
What a timeline! But yeah, anyways, Toast, any last words on Maou-sama Retry?
Last words. It's okay.
Okay.
But it's definitely super average.
Yeah, you wouldn't like push it to somebody super hard or anything.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not the must watch of this season. There's another isekai that you can bring up for that. And even the remaining one is kind of okay too. Maybe slightly better. I don't know. I'll compare it when they're all done. But otherwise, this show is pretty average. It as let me call myself the isekai gourmand over here.
Gourmand.
There's not much. I read and watch a lot of isekai. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
This one doesn't have as much of a pull for me.
It doesn't have a fruity taste, kind of. Just.
It doesn't have that zing, that pizzazz that some other series have.
not a member of Flavor Town, I believe.
The premise doesn't really interest me as much as, I don't know. Let's throw out a good one. Sword Dad. Sword Dad's pretty cool.
I mean, it's already been there. It's a series. I mean, it's not well. Okay, let me rephrase that, because a lot of premises are these days kind of been there, done that. But it's not only been there, done that, but it's a very obvious sort of template for like kind of vague, do whatever you want. You know what I mean? It's not very like specific. Like Sword Dad is pretty specific. I have some disagreements with what its pacing is and what it's doing in later chapters, but I agree that the way that Sword Dad kind of panned out, or started initially panned out, was pretty interesting, and it was pretty specific. But this is not very specific. It's just like, oh yeah, this dude that's like old and like grumpy sometimes kind of gets thrown into an isekai, and that's sort of how it goes, right? So that's sort of what I would say about Maou-sama Retry's premise.
If this was a fast food sandwich, this would be the McDonald's single quarter pounder.
That's very specific, but okay.
If even the KFC Cheeto sandwich.
that's like
hey man.
That's just like a vending machine. The KFC Cheeto sandwich is like the vending machine dad or whatever.
hey man, you want a double down? Hit up that demon. How not to summon a demon lord? You'll know what I mean.
I don't know about that.
But Spire, what do you? He's got Rem and the other Rem.
And the other Rem.
What's her name again? What's her name?
In Maou-sama Retry?
Yeah, no. In How Not to Summon Isekai Mao.
Shara and Rem.
Yeah, you got Shara and Rem. That's the double down right there.
Oh my god, you're so stupid.
Then if you want your Chick-fil-A, you want your Chick-fil-A sandwich, the cream of the crop. You hit me up with that Alicization.
All right. Well, on that note,
do you want me to clarify why Alicization is comparable to Chick-fil-A?
No, we don't. It's fine. On that note, thank you, Toast, for covering Maou-sama Retry.
It's average. Watch it only if you want to, but it's kind of boring.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't want to watch it, like this is the one that you can check out on.
Yeah.
Other ones, though, if you don't want to watch it, you still need to. So.
Yeah. Anyways. Can we shit this
Jesus Christ.
Now that see that?
Toast, please. Sorry, Toast just said this is a very interesting message.
It's about Alicization and Chick-fil-A.
But anyways,
I won't say it though.
Next on the list, Dark. What do you want to cover?
I'm going to be covering. If I can remember the full name here, Joshikousei no. Was it Mudazukai?
Mudazukai, yeah. Mudazukai, yeah.
Yeah, which roughly translates to the wasteful days of a high school girl. So basically, you know, my life.
Literally me.
Literally me. So this is a series. It's being done by. Wow, Mal's coming in hot here with giving me ad sum for literally everything. For this series, and no voice actors listed either. Mal's. So that's fun. Anyway, so the show's basically just about It centers around essentially 3 main characters, and then sort of like the supporting cast of the rest of their class. And if you're looking at the picture on stream, the 3 main characters are the 3 like centermost there, and they each have different nicknames. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really remember their actual names, but from left to right, it's Wota, because she's an otaku and wants to be a manga artist.
Oh, she's the Wotakoi?
Yeah. And then in the center is Baka, because she gets into stupid hijinks.
Yeah.
And on the right is Robo, because she doesn't really show much emotion.
Yeah.
And is really into like biological science stuff.
The naming sense is almost like Oshiete Kariko-chan from a couple of
Was that
years ago.
Wasn't that the one where they talked about they determined whether Galko had to pee or poop by how long she took in the bathroom?
Yes.
I guess, yes.
Sure was. So that's not really like they do have full names, but I forget all of them because all of them call each other by their nicknames.
Yeah, exactly. But they have actual proper names.
Yeah. So basically it's just a comedy school life series, but it's in a weird place because it's like almost to absurdity, but like not quite. It's on a very borderline.
So I guess I mean, for me, I think it would be easier to kind of give me a couple like reference points rather than obviously because describing these sorts of series are kind of like difficult at time. But there's a lot of sort of series that maybe could be relevant in this discussion, right? There's stuff like Yushiki, there's stuff like Joshikousei no Nichicho, there's stuff like more recently Asobi Asobase, right? There's a lot of these like similar series that a lot people will be like, oh, isn't it like that or isn't it like this? So are there any series recently or a little bit longer back that you would say maybe is more related or it reminds you of
people had said that it reminds them of Danshi, but I personally haven't watched that yet.
No, okay.
So I can't really weigh in on that. It's not quite to the levels of absurdity of Asobi Asobase.
You're right.
I guess you could
more relaxed.
Yeah, you can kind of compare it to that because the basic premise is 3 main characters that are all fucking degenerates at this point.
Are they super degenerates or what level are they?
Not quite super, but they're kind of all scumbags, like in their own way. But yeah, so like that's and I guess the way they play off of each other and the way they play off of the teacher as well.
Wait, did you watch Kitakubu Katsuto Kiroku or Chronicles of the Going Home Club?
Yeah, a little bit of that. I finished it. It's just been a really long time.
Yeah, is it kind of like that? Like at least premise wise, like
it's kind of like that. But I felt like Kitakubu, like if I'm not misremembering the series, I feel like it was a little bit more absurd in certain parts.
Yeah, it was a little bit more high action, high pace kind of stuff.
Yeah. This is a little bit less high action. It's a lot more about at least for the episodes, for episodes 1 and 2, it's a lot more about like repetition and like longer form bits in a way.
Right.
And then just like kind of playing off of those, and usually it's like I think it's split into about like 3 different parts for episodes 1 and 2. 3 is a little bit different, just because it focuses on a different character from the main cast, and I feel like that's where it's going to go now. So
right.
Overall, I think I think that's going to be the pacing of the show. It's more of like now that they've established the 3 mains for like first and second episode, I think it's going to be their interactions, but mostly from another character's point of view from the class. So.
Wait, is it like one major kind of like episode such thing kind of going on, or is it like a set of mini episodes?
It's definitely one. It's definitely more of a full episode.
Okay.
Episode 1. Yeah, it definitely is. It's just more of like different sort of bits or like shenanigans that they get into during the episode. That'll be like 3 parts. So like the first episode was them getting into the new school together, and then that was like the first little bit of it, and then it primarily focused on the nicknames for everyone in the class.
Okay.
And then it was the introduction of the teacher, which then went back to the nicknames, which then looped back into the teacher again, and then finished with something that went back to like the beginning of the episode of the main character trying to not the main character, but Baka wanting to be popular with high school guys, even though she goes to an all-girl school.
Right.
So that's kind of the way the show's paced out. Everything kind of like ties back into each other, like in different jumping off points.
Does it keep a relatively static sort of in terms of like between episode to episode? Does it kind of keep playing off a set of pretty constant personality tropes, or is there like some sort of gradual development kind of thing going on?
It depends, because like right now it was like episode 1 really only focused on Baka, and episode 2 was primarily focused on Wota. So it's not so much like their characters stay relatively the same and do like similar things, like especially with the repetition part. Like when they're interacting with each other and with other characters, they kind of run very similar gambits each time. Like when Baka's interacting with Lolly, I forget what movie it's from, but she like does this pose of like it was some Ghibli movie where she's just like, she's so small, she's like, oh, I thought you wanted to climb on.
Kiki's Delivery
like
Service?
Climb on her on.
Kiki's? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Was it? I don't know.
Probably.
My favorite's Kiki. That's why I said it.
I don't know. Maybe.
Kiki or Hao or something.
Well, which one is the one about the tiny person and the big guy?
Ponyo? My Neighbor Totoro?
I don't know. I mean, it was a repetitive like reference to that. And so like that happened. Yeah, that happened a few times in episode 1. But then in episode 3, when it focused primarily on Lolly, during one of their interactions, it happened again. So that's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of how it goes with that. I would say overall it's pretty solid.
Right. Okay.
It's got some good jokes, some good bits. It's, I don't know how it's gonna go for certain characters, because it's like Lolly's episode was kind of more of a wholesome one about her and her grandma. So it was a little bit less comedy, like straightforward comedy. But I do think that might be what they're going for, is more of like a variety.
In that sense, it's kind of gonna be like Hitoribochi no Maru Sekatsu, right? From, I believe, the last season, because it's like it's gonna be a little bit more like it's gonna have more ups and downs, because it's kind of just going through the roster episode by episode.
Yeah, and I think if they keep up with sort of like the way, because episode 1 was like kind of straight slapstick because it focused on Baka, and then Wota was more of like, it was comedy, but a lot of it also centered around her like incapability of a manga artist. And then episode 3 was more of like the wholesome like comedy.
Right.
So it seems like they might go for that. Of course, like throughout the episodes, other characters were thrown in every now and then. And then they also have a short like clip at the end of the episode, because the episode's ED pops up at around like 18 minutes in or something, and then there's usually like a 2-minute skit at the end.
Oh yeah. The sort of like the ending like bonus kind of skit thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a full scene. It's not like a
Yeah. But it's
it
just
doesn't have like a
something.
different style or anything.
Yeah.
It's just detached from
It's been a while since I've seen
rest.
something like that actually, to be honest.
Yeah.
But they did used to have it a couple of years back for a lot more series.
Yeah, so those are fun, and if they continue to like have the variety of like different like comedic aspects to a situation, that'll be fun. Like if the like there's gonna be the episode where they focus on the Chuni girl, and already the skit that they had was a lot more like awkward focus comedy. So I think it could provide a pretty good variety in that sense.
Okay, that's good.
If this show was a sandwich, what would you rate it?
It'll be a rerun.
Yeah, it would be a big and tasty for sure.
I like the big
I
and
actually
tasty.
remember what I don't remember what that
Jimmy
is.
John's. But anyways, thank you, Dark, for helping cover.
Oh yeah, and it's got a really cool OP.
So you're
At least
saying,
I think
so
so.
you're saying,
I quite like it.
so you're saying it's a jalapeno big and tasty. Is that what they have now?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure, why not?
Yes, that's how.
That's
But
how
anyways,
sandwiches work, right?
maybe. But either way, thank you, Dark, for helping cover Joshikousei no Mudazukai, or Wasteful Days of High School Girl. I believe that is the localization title.
Yep.
And with that,
I just wish we knew the studio.
Who do you think would win in a fight? These Joshikoseis or the Danchikokoseis? I'm pretty sure the Danchis.
Joshikousei is pretty fucking crazy. Not gonna lie. It's a
I'm pretty sure
passione.
they could take him out.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a pretty good episodic. If you want to check out an episodic comedy this season, please do check it out. A little bit more episodic comedy. Please do check it out. Also, Passione, who did stuff like Haitai Nanatha, Rail Wars, Roku no Yusha, Hinako no
Which one?
Citrus.
Roku no Yusha. That's the one with the 7
Yes.
heroes. Okay.
Yeah, the 6 heroes and like the 7 like cheat or whatever, or not the fake hero.
Wasn't that an isekai?
I think so. Yeah. But but they're not like a bad studio or anything like that. They're just smaller, I think. But anyways, thank you for covering it, Dark. And next on the list, Nier. What do you have for us?
Whoa. I'm going to be covering Fire Force, also known as Enen no Shouboutai.
Yeah, Enen no Shouboutai
is the one of the very large names this season. There's quite a few big series this season. This is a David Productions adaptation, manga adaptation.
A lot of money going into it, to be honest.
Yeah, the manga is by the Soul Eater creator, so quite a few big names in this. Fire Force is a shonen series with the basic premise of it's a team of fire fighters that a few of them have fire superpowers where they can manipulate fire or create fire, and they fight.
They fight fire with fire.
They fight fire with fire.
Pretty much.
And the I guess enemies of this series are people who spontaneously combust and they turn into these fire monsters.
Yeah, it's kind of like a controlled zombie a world kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So the way they set it up is essentially at any point, at any time, just anywhere, anybody can randomly combust into flames, and they become what's called an infernal, which is this weird, like mindless, flaming monster. And when that happens, the fire force gets dispatched, and they have to put them to rest and the only way to beat an infernal is to destroy its core, which is basically where the heart would be. And I mean, it follows the basic outlines of your standard shonen, right? It introduces the main protagonist, which is Shinra Kusakabe, and his basic motivation is he wants to be a hero, right? You know, standard stuff
Right.
with every shonen. The main character is what they call a third generation pyrokinetic, which means he can like create fire, not just manipulate fire.
Mm-hmm.
And his power is to be able to like shoot flames out of his feet, and it lets him go
Super
really,
fast.
really
Supersonic
fast.
racing.
So if he's a third generation, what's the first generation?
First generations, they say, are the Infernals.
Mm.
They're mindless. They're monsters, and
So
they can't control their powers.
So the later generation just stronger than.
Yes, the
original?
later
Okay.
the generation, apparently the stronger they are. Because second generations can only manipulate fire; they can't create fire. So, yeah, and then but yeah, it's the standard shonen where the main character wants to be a hero, so he joins the fire force, and in the hopes of apparently his family was killed by one of these infernals, but he was like blamed for the fire because he's a pyrokinetic, and he wants to find the monster that killed his family.
So it wasn't his powers; it was just somebody else that did it.
That's the initial premise.
Yeah, exactly.
And
this is the manga original, by the way.
Yes, this is the manga original. So this is from the main character's perspective. It says that basically when he was sleeping, his house went up in flames, and he was the only survivor, and everybody around him blamed him because he has fire powers, and I guess people didn't suspect that it was an infernal for some reason because it didn't do anything other than burn down the house.
Right.
But he says he saw the monster in the house or whatever, and so it's his goal to find it and I guess kill it, right, for revenge or something. I don't know.
Right. And it seems to me like a lot of sort of the themes and sort of the ideas that are explicitly stated and the monologues and the reflections are very much I guess again fighting fire with fire sense,
Yeah.
right? It's very on the nose. The whole thing where it's like the dude that kind of looks like very angry, kind of almost like and he's prone to being rash and causing accidents, but he still wants to be a hero and to learn the responsibilities, right?
And apparently the main character has this weird, I guess it's his character gimmick. I don't really know what they're trying to do with it, but he says whenever he gets nervous, his face tightens up and he gets that big smile on his face, right? And he says ever since his family's died, he hasn't genuinely smiled since, and the only times he smiles is when he's nervous. So that's why he does that big, shark teeth grin all the time. It's not because he's he's not like a super cocky main character kind of thing. He's actually he seems pretty humble, I guess.
Yeah, it's right. If they made him out to be a pretty I almost want to say realistic, and I don't, and I use this very cautiously for especially action shonen series, right? Just because of the nature of the series and stuff like that. But I do think that in that sense, he is, in being a little bit more moderate, he is a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, he's not the kind of shonen character where he's
yeah, let me just fucking go out there. It's not like that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna win.
Yeah.
He knows that it's a team effort and stuff like that. So
yeah,
he's not.
He's actually going through the steps with a squad.
Yeah. And then there's the other characters in the squad. Two of which are apparently don't have powers. Which
The
is
nun
pretty,
and then the
the nun and the captain.
yeah, exactly.
Which is a pretty interesting, I guess, angle that they took it. Because what I was expecting was like all of them were gonna have powers, right?
And they're
all
just
of
going
them
on
were
and
gonna,
just like boom,
yeah,
just boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
like doing like all these like crazy fire powers and stuff.
Yeah.
But the captain,
But this
he
sets up
doesn't.
an interesting contrast.
Yeah, he doesn't have any, which is interesting because the way I thought it was, the world was set up was that like if you had fire powers, you basically like had to join the fire force, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like that's not the case. It's apparently optional, right?
Right.
Because they ask the main character, why he signed up.
Mm-hmm.
So the series hasn't like shown any pyrokinetics outside of the fire force yet, but it would be interesting to see if there were any, like what pyrokinetics can do outside of the fire force, right? In this world that's like, living in fear of people constantly like spontaneously combusting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any use for a pyrokinetic outside of fighting fire, right?
Right. Exactly.
And it would be interesting to see if uh, there's any like discrimination towards people that can control fire in this world that's like terrified of fire.
Yeah, I think so. So what you're talking about is a lot of because from what I see is like the three major sort of prongs that this series is pushing is obviously the action, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the mystery behind specifically the main character Shinra, right? Just going through that, being like who is behind stuff, who's like I guess are there any villains behind the Infernals, so on.
Yeah.
And then third prong is as you said, sort of doing the themes between not necessarily discrimination, but this idea of like being in fear of the people who are kind of running around, just duking out things with fire, right? And then dealing with that while still being a hero, right? Which is not necessarily I want to say a super unique theme, but it's definitely a theme that can be flexibly explored for sure. So how much of the manga have you read, if any?
I haven't read too much. I've mostly read like synopses and stuff. And from what I've heard, it follows, the basic formula through most of it. I've heard that it gets into like more than just fire powers.
Oh shit. We're
Which
going
is
full Avatar now.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not like I don't really know details on like
Yeah.
if it's like just different like forms, like different uses of fire. Like there's the one person in the squad, Arthur Boyle,
Yeah.
who like his firepower is like he uses a sword, right?
But the thing is, we're kind of trying to hope that it's not like some sort of Avatar thing, right? Like,
Yeah, I don't think it's like that. I feel like it's just like, different, uses of I guess fire to like transition it into like different forms of energy because Arthur he turns his sword into like plasma, right? And because of that, in the second episode, the second generation pyrokinetic in their team who like has the power to just like manipulate fire to the point where she can just put it out, right? She's not able to like dampen his sword at all.
right.
Which is, pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm not too sure how far the powers go. But yeah, other than that, I think from what I've heard, there's a lot of like world building in this series, which is pretty interesting, right? Because Soul Eater didn't have that much world building, right? It was kind of just the central conflict, and then that was it, right? So it's interesting that this apparently goes into more world building, which is cool because the world is pretty cool. Just with the way it's set up and its, I guess, aesthetic and its dynamic. But
well,
yeah,
I mean, it's probably a little bit. I don't know if it's in this series specifically, but it seems that this series would like a little bit more world building, not necessarily as to make things functional, but because it's like first of all, it builds on the third prong we mentioned about the themes, I guess. The theme
Yeah.
of like people kind of being afraid of, the potentially being afraid of the firefighters, right? Or the fire force. And then I guess it's a slight value addition because I feel like that just running the whole like mystery behind whatever and mystery behind his family's death and kind of vaguely running that theme of the the fear isn't necessarily enough to really keep the thing going at a
Yeah.
sufficient pace, especially in a more modern series, right? That's sort of the kicker here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, other than that, I think it's a fairly standard shonen series. Fight the monster. Be the
Yeah.
hero.
Yeah.
Typical stuff. I'm pretty sure. So there's 2 episodes out right now. Unfortunately, the 3rd episode has been delayed due to recent events. So I think that was supposed to air today or yesterday. But
Yeah.
in the 2 episodes they've shown, they've hinted at backstory for some other characters. So obviously they're gonna go through the entire squad. At least I would assume so. Interestingly enough, the ED actually seems to show like a lot of the backstory for the nun character, Iris, which very beautiful ED, by the way. But I thought it was
Oh
pretty
yeah, I
interesting
saw it.
that
Yeah, it's pretty good.
like the ED is like largely focused on one character. Pretty interesting. So I don't know if that means like they might skim over her backstory in the show. But either way, like that ED is beautiful.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But yeah, other than that, like I said, this is a David Productions series. The audio visuals are gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, especially if there was enough money put into it, it's not like
Yeah.
with David Productions, it's enough to trust them with.
Yeah. So the series it lists 2 directors. I assume one is a co-director. But I'm pretty sure the main director is Taiki Kono.
Oh, okay.
If I understand correctly, he's also the one that animated the ED. Very talented. He's worked on some other stuff, like he's done key animation for Sunrise New Lion, and some other stuff. I'm not sure. I believe this might be his directorial debut, which is very interesting.
Oh, okay.
Other than that, there's the animation director Hideyuki Morioka, very talented. So there's some pretty good names behind this. There's a lot of obviously there's some really well drawn fire, right? As one would expect.
Yeah.
All the fire effects are they're very good to look at. Some of the more
It actually reminds me of slightly, I don't know, Exorcist kind of stuff. To be
yeah.
honest.
Some of the more emphasized ones are drawn with like different art styles to the main show. So like some fire, like so the way it is it seems to be the different fire powers are sort of drawn with like different effect styles, right? So when the witch girl, the 2nd generation, manipulates fire, it's drawn with seemingly more like a kind of like a brush style, like it's a little more rough looking. And then when Shinra's powers are on screen, it's more like what's his name? I forget the animator's name, but there's an animator that draws like energy and fire effects in like really long streaks, right? And then as the streak dissipates, it kind of explodes outwards.
Oh, okay.
It's so all the fire seems to be drawn in like different styles, which is really cool. It's all really nice looking.
Yeah, I noticed that like the flames were actually like
Yeah.
like it was drawn in a much more like because fire is random in a sense.
Yeah,
So much more chaotic way. Yeah.
it's very cool. Not and it's not just the fire, right? Like all the character animations are very well done.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of detail in the backgrounds. The backgrounds are gorgeous. There's a lot of detail in moving backgrounds as well. There's a scene in episode 2 where the main character like falls off of the roof, and as it's panning him like falling down, you can actually there's like 3 or 4 frames where the window he passes by a window, and if you pause it, you can see the captain like lifting weights in the window. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
He's got like a fucking flower pot on his head. But yeah, there's just a lot of detail in this series.
Yeah.
It's really well done. It's good. It's a good series. I
Honestly,
definitely recommend watching it.
I'm surprised that it kind of. I mean, it's probably quite a popular series in Japan, but I'm surprised that it kind of came together like this pretty well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not like it wasn't like at least the way it was marketed, it wasn't some sort of like big dick like phase zero, everything's coming together kind of thing. It was pretty like somewhat under the radar, and
Yeah.
then it kind of like, and when people saw it, it was like, oh, this is like solid. Like I kind of expected it to be solid, but it was pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember having a few doubts too when this was first announced to be David Productions, right? Because
Hmm.
Soul Eater was animated by Bones, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people, myself included, were a little bit skeptical of
Mhm.
the Soul Eater creators, manga being adapted by not Bones, right?
Right.
But David Productions, very talented studio.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
they're the people behind JoJo.
yeah.
For those of you who don't know, yeah.
And they've handled the style extremely well.
Mhm.
It looks fantastic in motion. And it's a good show. It's a good series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess those are the last words, but definitely probably would recommend to most people, right? Just at least
Yeah.
check it out. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for helping us review Enen no Shouboutai, again, shonen series and manga series adapted by David Productions. Last but not least, I'll do a quick sort of review of Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season. So that's the Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season, localized title, Araburu Kisetsu no Otome-domo yo. So this is a manga original written by the one, the only Okada Mari. I believe some of you know of her. Very famous, prolific scriptwriter in the business, in the anime industry. And this has been produced by, I believe, Leidus, who's a relatively small series, but they did stuff like Classroom Crisis, Magi, Sinbad no Boken, or Adventures of Sinbad, which is a very, very popular series in Japan. And it's actually more popular than the original Magi series. It's weird, but released the Spice and so on. So pretty interesting. And I believe it was also directed by Masahiro Ando, who did stuff for Hidekana. He did Akagami no Shirayuki Hime. He did Sirius the Jaeger, so on and so forth. A lot of different stuff. And then now he's doing this. He also worked with Hanasaki Iroha, which was also heavily influenced, pretty much headed by Okada Mari in terms of how the composition went. So he's very familiar with Okada Mari's work and kind of working with. So this is how the anime is set up, as well as for the series. It is a coming of age series about 5 different girls who are all in high school, kind of going through their stuff. They're all in the literature club, and they're they're having questions and kind of thoughts and doubts about puberty, what it means to be in a relationship, sex, stuff like that. And when one of them finally pops the question in the literature club, it's like, oh, what's one thing you want to do before you die? And one of them says sex, or I want to have sex before I die. Everything kind of gets thrown into motion. And each of these 5 different girls have their own sort of problem that they're trying to resolve, whether it's, maybe finding out they're attracted to girls, being stuck in a love triangle, having to deal with the fact that, men are kind of looking at them, in a sexual way all the time. And it's very much based around, puberty and dealing with sex and so on and so forth. So that's sort of the series. As for how I found it, I mean, I've always had a sort of love-hate relationship with what kind of Maurice works, and when I say love-hate relationship, I mean it. I mean, like, I seriously like it, or I tend to seriously like stuff. Like, I love Hanasaka Iroha. Makia, I definitely really liked, and some other stuff like Mayoiga and some other series that she didn't pull as hard on. I didn't really pull for, and especially stuff that I believe Kofuku no Graffiti, right? Kofuku Graffiti, I believe she worked on, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and she has some hard time when she's not in like a hermetic chamber, right? Like in the perfect environment for her, she tends to not produce the best results. Like Kofuku Graffiti anime adaptation wasn't the best, even though it had like all the killers, right? It had it had Akiyuki Shimbo, the memer. It had Okada Marie. It had the backing of Shaft, so on and so forth, and that was still not good. And then of course we had
nice.
It looked very good, but it was obviously again a case of too many chefs, in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
And then there was also Tamako Market, which again was one of her original compositions, but that was also extremely not exciting. It was very boring. Yes. So again, unless she's in like a hermetic chamber and she's getting like spoon fed daily by like PA Works or something like that, she tends to not deliver 100%, is what I want to say.
Yeah.
But in this one, what do I say about this? So the series is very in the field of scientific research, they will say this is an acute study, which means it's a very like specific, isolated kind of like way to view things. The way that the girls are all like dealing with their problems, they are like all throughout the episode, they are 24/7 only dealing with that problem. They're only thinking about that sort of problem. They're only thinking about how to deal with sex, how to deal with puberty, how to deal with relationships, stuff like that, and not about anything else. And they're always going through that drama, which I understand in a sense, like why obviously she did that, right? It's the natural instinct of an author / writer, and it's a stronger way to deliver a unique story, right? Because you need to invest into that story to deliver a unique story, right? But I mean, I don't know what you guys think on the matter. I do want to ask you guys, but it's like I've always felt like in these, the specific realistic view that a person should have when thinking about how to deal with puberty, how to deal with sex. It's not necessarily, oh, I have this problem, how do I deal with it, which is certainly very important, right? It's like, oh, I'm in a love triangle, or like I don't know whether I'm looking at this person sexually or in a true like platonic romantic relationship, right? That's obviously very important and very like difficult problem to solve for many people, not just teens. But I believe one of the major difficulties in life is always balancing that with everything else, right? It's like it's not necessarily the fact that you're in love with somebody, but it's like, oh, I'm doing other stuff, and then I have to deal with drama, and then blah blah blah, right? So I think that's sort of what I would say is in my opinion, is the more unique, realistic part of having to go through puberty, having to go through all this, because you have school, you have your parents, all saying things, you have your own life, you're doing whatever, and then you're suddenly boom, you're hit with having to deal with subjects on sex, having to deal with subjects on relationships, stuff like that, and Okadamari specifically doesn't deal with that, right? Doesn't deal with that sort of multitasking. It specifically deals with the problem at hand, and it does the whole like, oh, will they, won't they, tiptoeing around or kind of heading it straight on and kind of, seeing people embarrassed, seeing people awkward, and it's very, it's very mixed feelings for me because again, I understand why she's doing it, but I'm not sure if I really like it. I don't. I still think that in doing this, it's not very. I feel like I would empathize more with the characters if they were kind of swept up in life, and then while doing that, they have to deal with all of this stuff, and that's why this problem in puberty, in dealing with stuff, is so much greater, right? Because you have to balance it with life. Kind of like how Tsuki ga Kirei tried to do it, but obviously it didn't really develop as much down the road. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that it like when in terms of like creating fictional media, that especially if it's like some sort of like 12 episode anime, do you think it's better to just kind of focus on that sort of like dealing with love, dealing with sex or whatever?
Is
And
this
then
12
kind of,
episodes?
I think it's 12 episodes.
Because Val
Yes.
says unknown. So
Let me see this. It's probably 12 episodes, but I'm not sure.
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that it's 12 episodes. I don't really see anything I would say otherwise. But do you guys think it's more interesting to have a sort of focused theme, like in terms of just sex and puberty and stuff like that, and kind of go through it and kind of try to explore more spots in it, or do you think maybe it would be nice to kind of try to like multitask? Because again, I probably both can be done fine, but I feel like maybe some more like multitasking would be interesting.
Well, I mean, the problem I hear when you say they're focusing on like the issue of going through puberty is when you say like they focus on like how to solve the issue, right?
Yeah. So an example is the girl is like, oh no, I saw you know my childhood friend masturbating, and now the only thing I can think about is sex. Oh, what do I do? And it's like then she gets deep into the romantic, like will they, won't they? But he's my childhood friend, but I don't talk to him anymore. Oh man, I'm thinking more about sex now because I saw him masturbating. It's going through that cycle over and over again. But it's that sort of focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the big issue I hear there is like like solving the issue, right? Because
Right.
for teenagers going through puberty, there's no solution, right?
Yeah.
It's just something that is like they deal with. They just have to kind of
Even if there
put up with
would
it,
be
right?
some sort of resolution, they often don't get to it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's why I mean the problem with I guess a lot of coming of age stories that like focus a lot on puberty, I think um
It's that
I
they're
think
also stuck in the problem solution model. Is what
yeah, there's that, and there's also the fact that like they tackle the idea like the problem of puberty like in a I guess like a literal sense, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm going through puberty.
Yeah, it's a
How do
problem.
I deal with it?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Whereas, uh
It's not
like
really like that. Yeah.
Fully Cooley is a coming of age like puberty story, but it never even talks about it, right? It deals with it in a very
passing of time.
In a roundabout way. It's a very, it's not like the main character is not like, oh, I'm going through puberty, I'm getting boners. Fuck, like it presents it like as a problem. But the problem isn't puberty. But at the same time, it is a show about going through puberty, right?
Right, like puberty is the thing that that brings all these sorts of problems.
Yeah.
Or it's like the period of time where problems tend to pop up.
The issue I hear when you say like they focus on the problem of puberty is that when puberty's happening, puberty isn't the problem. It's everything that's happening while you're going through puberty, right? Your emotions are high. You have to deal with school. You have to deal with, your social circles who also have all their emotions running high. Like, scheduling issues. You're busy all the time. Maybe there's family issues going on. Like, it's a busy time. So I don't know. I don't think very many series do like the concept of the feeling of just being completely overloaded with burdens as you are going through puberty. Like, the issue isn't I'm going through puberty, this is a problem. It's everything else is a problem, and the fact that you're going through puberty is just expounding it, right? And I mean, if they're not doing that, I think I don't know. I think it probably just kind of won't really like the series will probably like say it's things are being resolved, right? But there's not really going to be a resolution because you don't resolve puberty, right? It just happens. That's the problem.
It's just like you enter it and then you kind of get out of it because again, it's a period of time. It's not. I have to tackle puberty.
It's not a burden to overcome. It's just something that you go through. That's
maybe
the
there'll
issue
be a time jump by the end,
just random epilogue.
Yeah, I mean,
be like, dude, we beat it.
I don't know what the I mean, obviously the conflict is like each character's, the drama they're going through, right? Like romance or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know. Just hearing it, it sounds like it's a little. I don't really know.
Sounds a little too on the nose.
I mean, I don't want to say like shallow. I kind of want to use the word like thin, right? Like it's too narrow. You know what I mean? Like it's maybe dealing with too few problems for the characters. But I haven't watched it, so I don't know.
Yeah. But I guess what about you? You guys, Dark Toast. Do you guys have any ideas on sort of?
Well, for one,
just kind of
12-episode Okada Marie series.
You need
they
12
ain't been looking good. Yeah, I don't know, man. It seems like she really needs the 24. Which
yeah.
For God's sake, give it to her, because
her sweet spot is always like the 24 anime. Hopefully produced by PA Works.
How long was Sasami-san? Didn't they have 2 seasons? Those were 24?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I pretty much agree with Nier. Like, it just seems like oddly laser focused on like one issue like per character, where it's kind of weird. Like when it comes to that, I don't know. Especially like even the issues you named, like overcoming them or like dealing with them seems like not a process that you can properly cover in like
it's not
12
really
episodes.
It's not really a human thought process, right? Like like with the example that you said, Spire, where the one character walks in on somebody masturbating, right? That's not really like somebody doesn't do that, and
How
then
do I fix this?
and then they go like, how do I overcome this issue? They kind of go like, well, that was fucking awkward. Like, I guess I, will try to move on from that, right? I don't think people will go like, oh, but what if we like fucked? Like, I don't think that's really. I don't know. It just doesn't really sound natural to me. I feel like I don't know. Do you think maybe how many characters are in this series? Is it the 4 or 5? 4 or 5?
It's 5, and then there are like some on
Right.
them that are part of the quote unquote problem.
I mean, do you think it would be better to have like 1 or 2 characters with multiple issues than it would be for multiple characters with like individual issues?
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, again, I'm going with what you're saying, right? It's like the idea is not so much like, are we like, what are we talking about here? Are we like always talking about like, oh, I have these problems in my life, you know what I mean? Are we talking about that sort of setting, like that sort of perspective? Or are we talking about the general sort of, I'm living life and I'm going through these phases where I have these problems, and the perspective is that I'm living a life where I'm dealing with, you know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
the focus is on the life specifically, not on the problem,
Right.
right? So it's like, um, in that sense, if it was like 1 or 2 people and it's going through their life, and it's like that sort of, I think that would be interesting. It would be obviously it would be difficult to keep it from becoming sort of one of those regular sort of shoujo series where it's like, or josei series where it's like coming of age. Oh, I was awkward, but then I know better now because I'm an adult after the time skip, right? It's very hard to prevent from becoming non-unique. But I feel like if that was done well, it might have been uh, empathetic than just being like, yeah, I can't stop thinking about sex, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very it's definitely interesting. I would suggest that people check it out, but I wouldn't necessarily like slobber over it or anything. That it's not. Again, it's a very sort of like isolated study kind of thing, and I don't think I empathize with it as much as if it was like a holistic puberty a series, which was I sort of believe that was what it kind of. Well, no, I don't believe it sold itself like that, but I kind of wanted to be. So I kind of wanted Katamari to try something like that. But I believe, but she kind of did that with stuff like Hanasaki Iroha before and so on. So I guess she didn't need to do that, but you know,
Yeah.
a man can dream, right? A man can dream. But yeah. Anyways, last words. I found it interesting. Check it out, but don't expect anything very sort of empathetic and sort of very. How do I say this? I guess the best word to say it is all encompassing. It's not something that you're, oh, this is going through puberty. It's more just like, oh, these people have problems when they're going through puberty. It's more like that. So yeah. Anyways, that was what I had to say. Again, Araburu Kisetsu. Wait, did somebody want to say something?
No.
Okay. This what I had to say for Araburu Kisetsu no Otome-domo Maidens in your Savage season. And with that, we are moving straight on to our news. So I have a little bit of news. It's a little bit of a extended news section, but we'll try to get through it pretty quickly. First off, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government last week that will begin its quote-unquote anime overseas expansion step-up program that will focus on marketing anime to the foreign market. The program will include seminars and workshops, and it will culminate in a contest for anime pitches. The prize will be cash awards and the opportunity for the pitch to be exhibited at next year's MIFA, Marche Internationale du Film d'Animation, animation market. blah blah, outlining for the anime market, blah blah. So it's essentially a project for marketing anime specifically. Obviously, the Tokyo government has been doing a lot of investing for, I guess, the anime industry in general, right? They've been working on projects for helping animators. They've been doing like foreign outreach stuff. Now they're working on having Japanese people market it specifically for overseas anime expansion. So pretty interesting how they're just very, very, expanding this pretty quickly. All right, it's like been at least a couple, couple projects to several projects over, say, 2 to 3, 4 years, right? So pretty quick pacing in my opinion. So pretty interesting how they're going about this. But hopefully it'll have some good benefits. Next, and this is one you might want to comment on a little bit. So, entertainment news website Variety reported on Tuesday that Warner Brothers has delayed its live-action Akira film indefinitely, and then you said it was canceled like right after this news came out, right?
Yeah, they apparently pulled the plug.
So,
Is the words they used.
Taika Waititi. How do I fucking pronounce his last name here?
Waititi?
Why? Waititi or Waititi? Is there like specific? But anyways, it was reported in the process of choosing the 2 lead roles from among Japanese actors, and the studio originally delayed the project to allow him time for that process. However, the website noted that there may be more quote, creative disagreements over the project. Okay. So I guess Nir, you want to talk about this a little bit more?
I mean, good. I did not. I mean, so Taika Waititi, he's a good director, right? He made Thor Ragnarok, very good movie, very fun movie, and he's made other good movies. I just don't believe. I don't think anybody can like really do Akira justice on like the big screen. I don't know. Even if you take a spin on it, right? Like you change the aesthetic a little bit. You tweak. Maybe you remove like the weird blue space babies from the story, right? I don't think. Well, the problem is if you alter the story, people get mad, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you keep the story, people say Akira's story sucks because it kind of does. Like Akira's story is pretty fucking stupid. If you change the aesthetic, people get really fucking mad because the best part of Akira is the aesthetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you try to adapt Akira's aesthetic perfectly, it's probably just going to be a big CG mess. That's going to cost so much fucking money that the movie's not going to be profitable to begin with, a la Ghost in the Shell, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it was a good idea to begin with.
I think a little bit too. What is it? Kind of getting in front of themselves, right?
Yeah, I think
because of the success of stuff like Ghost in the Shell. I mean, not success, but like people were like, "Oh, Ghost in the Shell and Battle Angel, Alita, stuff like that. You might as well get on the train, right?"
Yeah. I don't know. I think I mean, I'm sure the director, for all intents and purposes, had very I'm sure he had good intentions. I'm sure he cared about the IP, right? A lot of people care about Akira. It's kind of hard to be attached to that project and just be like, yeah, I'll just shit something out, right?
Just casual Akira.
Which is evident by the fact that the original project was delayed just because the director wanted to cast the right people, right? I don't know. I think even like the best case scenario, this movie was going to be disappointing, right?
Yeah.
If it the plug has been pulled on this project. That doesn't mean there's like no chance in hell of it somehow being revived, right? Like
Yeah, a
the
lot of these
Akira,
adaptations are like on off too. So.
yeah, the Akira project has been booted up like a dozen times now, I believe. So it's not like we'll never get an Akira movie. But I just don't think it's a good idea. And the fact that this was pulled, I think it's a good thing.
I think it's also, although I don't know whether I guess it's going to be easier or harder, just because like these a lot of these directors kind of seem to be trying to juggle stuff at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying necessarily that like Akira Ghost in the Shell are like so much bigger projects than something like Thor, Avengers or something like that. But what I'm saying is that they are definitely distinctly new ventures, right? In the sense that like people don't really know what the quote unquote success formula is yet, or even a success formula, right? So I think more would have to be invested in, and you can't really juggle these projects, right? So
yeah.
But either way, a little bit unfortunate, but hopefully next time it comes back, it'll come back with a sort of a better viewpoint. Next, AX Pictures announced on Tuesday that it is producing a new virtual project titled Kotodama Shoujo, Soul Girls. The project will be a mixed media franchise centering on the youth story of the Microphone Soul Spinners, a group of girls who form a virtual rap unit. So I'm guessing it's virtual YouTubers, maybe. AX Pictures is planning an anime adaptation CD, as web radio programs, and live stream to the showroom service. All the showroom service. So showroom service is like a live streaming platform. It is very popular with like a lot of like Japanese idol people use it for like random live streams and stuff like that. It's like really weird. I don't know. It's like some very niche shit, to be honest. AVX Pictures is currently accepting applications for captions. So the weird thing about this is that like this premise sounds whack as shit, but the people behind like the designs, for instance, like
this artist is the guy that did the art for Digimon Cyber Sleuth, right?
It's the person who did Jurarara and Yuzakura Quartet.
Right. Okay.
So that's big. That's one thing.
Yeah.
And then the person who did story composition is Toshio Ono, who helped behind stuff like Gatchaman Crowds, Suki no Kuni, Promised Neverland, stuff like that. So there are like people behind it, but this still seems very whack. This seems a little bit too whack for me, to be honest. So no, I hope it goes well, but I feel like it's gonna be kind of like Bang Dream in a sense, right? Where it's like they just kind of have people who are like you over there who kind of seems like an idol. Okay, you're gonna start learning. Okay, you know what I mean? It's like so.
I don't know. I think if this is a little more tongue in cheek, it could be fun, right?
Oh, that could work. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to see. Okay, so next piece of news here. Directors Joe and Anthony Russo, behind most recently Avengers Endgame, announced at their panel at San Diego Comic-Con on Friday that their HBO Studios is developing an adaptation of the Gatchaman television anime series. The Russos added that they could not say if they will direct the project, nor could they say if the project will be animated or live action. However, if they said that if they do direct, it would be in live action. So, yeah. That's sort of how that's going. Any reactions, you guys?
So they're trying to do Power Rangers, but with Gatchaman. All right.
Who the fuck?
I didn't want
like,
this.
No, but would be like, yeah, the Russo brothers are on it. Also, it's animated.
Yeah, I mean,
when the fuck was that gonna happen? like, just to clarify, if we were on it, it's gonna be live action. Well, no shit. It's gonna be live action either way. It's not gonna be anime. No fucking way.
It's like they bring Chris Hemsworth in, but he's only dubbing.
I mean, that'd be cool. I'll take that.
That'd be pretty hilarious. Not gonna lie.
Make him the transforming gotcha belt or whatever they're gonna use.
I mean, as far as this goes, I've got no feelings one way or the other because I have never seen Gotchaman.
Gotchaman is pretty cool. You like Symphogear, but you've never watched Gotchaman? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, well, Gotchaman doesn't have Symphogear XV transformation sequences, so
Is the green one your favorite?
that are too hot for TV. Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit. It's toss up between her and Hibiki.
Hibiki is like the OG.
Yeah, I know.
Are you a plain Jane or are you a Ronda? What's her name? Ronda.
Ronda Rousey.
What?
Yeah.
The
MMO version. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess. All right. Well, we'll hopefully We'll look forward to that and see how that goes on. And then that's it for the main news. Now we're going to move on to the people news here. First off, a little bit of interesting news. I usually don't include something like this, but I did want to say it because it's very, very it's very, very out of the ordinary. But voice actress Aoyuki launched the website on Sunday to reveal a new original project she's working on with the goal of getting an anime greenlit. The project has a theme of Chimera, and Yuki herself is in charge of planning original work and original character design. The project is currently titled Yuki Aoi Chimera Project. So this is not actually like Miss Monochrome. So if anybody knows, Miss Monochrome is like they designed a series after Yui Horie, I believe, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then
they just kind of sell CDs basically.
Yeah, and then like the episodes were like bits of like her themes from her life, or biography, or something like that, right? But this is like completely different. She's like investing into this shit, and she's like drawing stuff for it, and like probably investing money into it and stuff like that. It's very interesting. And remember, this was from a person who about a year ago, right, Dark, said that like she wouldn't be releasing any more singles or whatever, because she didn't want to pretend to be like a singer when she was just like a voice actress. And then of course she released singles, and now she's apparently directing and producing an entire anime. So I don't know what this is about, to be honest. But we'll kind of see how it goes. There's some like furry stuff in here, which I'm not entirely.
That's
I'm
the
not,
new
like...
trend, dude. Trigger's new
Shut up.
series.
Shut the fuck up.
Are you
fucking Beastars is coming out?
Are you dissing Beastars? That one's really good. I read it and I'm like, damn, kind of pretty
No.
cool.
Not dissing Beastars, but
it looks kind of like
a fairy kind of theme.
Like Made in Abyss.
I can see where you're going.
Characters, you know.
Who would win in a fight, Made in Abyss or Hoseki no Kunis?
It's
What?
it's
Yeah,
kind of
you
like a Hakume Tomikochi, right? In a sense where it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll kind of see how it goes. It's very interesting, but obviously very few. I mean, like voice actors and voice actresses like diversify their portfolio, right? It's like they become generally like general talents in a sense, but few people have done like something very special, you know, making a new entire like agency or doing a new anime. Only people like Fukuyama and Jun, for instance, really.
It's interesting.
Okay. Next piece of news here. Philippine news service ABS-CBN reported on Tuesday that the Philippine Bureau of Investigation arrested a 28-year-old male named Romy Hoshino, aka Sakai Romy, the alleged manager of Japanese manga piracy site Mangamura. So this is like one of the biggest, manga piracy sites out there. And this is part of, I believe, the Japanese government's sort of project, right? So they started really kind of pushing for this 1 or 2 years ago. I think when we read it out in the news, really kind of hunt down piracy in terms of like manually almost, right? Like they would actually get people like to like go on internet browsing and try to find these piracy sites and shut them down, right? So obviously they caught one of the people, and I believe he's been slapped with obviously a huge fine or something like that. People are like, according to Japan's Content Overseas Distribution Association, or CODA, between September 2017 and February 2018, users accessed manga more about 620 million times. The association estimated that this cost 319.2 billion yen, or about 2.92 billion US dollars, worth of damage to copyright holders in Japan during that time. Obviously, a very large site, and taking it down will be have probably a significant impact. But I mean, again, this is like trying to kill a hydra, right? Like trying to kill a hydra with like a fork. it's
like trying to shut down. Yeah,
it's come on. So good luck with that. Next on the list, talent agency Johnny and Associates founder Johnny Kitakawa passed away in a Tokyo hospital before 5 p.m. on Tuesday. This was the 9th of July due to a subarachnoid hemorrhage, or this variant of stroke. Kitagawa had been in the hospital since June 18th. He passed away at the age of 87. So he was like a sort of like idol male crew member. He did, he was an idol male crew manager, so on and so forth. Stage production director. Held Guinness World Records for having the most #1 artists, the most #1 singles, and the most concerts produced by an individual. So yeah, please wish condolences to his friends and family. Another serious piece of news: singer and songwriter Mayu-sama filed a lawsuit with the Tokyo District Court against Tokyo Police on Wednesday in relation to a 2016 knife attack she experienced. Tomita is seeking about 76 million yen, which is around 700,000 US dollars, from the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, the man who stabbed her, and her agency. The attack left the now 23-year-old nearly blind in one eye. Tomita also has difficulty eating and breathing, undergoes reconstructive surgery about once every 6 months, and has post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Tomita blames the police for failing to protect her after she reported concerns about her fan Tomohiro Iwasaki, who later stabbed her. Iwasaki became obsessed with her and repeatedly sent her messages on social media as well as various gifts. Tomita returned the gifts, and Iwasaki responded with tweets and blog entries to threaten Tomita's life. Tomita reported the incidents to police in early May 2016, and she stated that she specifically said, quote unquote, "I may be killed." And then obviously the incident happened, and she actually was in critical condition, and it took her a couple of months, or it took her a month to regain consciousness. So, shortly after her attack, Tomita said the police questioned whether she had actually informed that her life may be in danger, so on and so forth. So it's like the back and forth. But yeah, again, very, very, very unfortunate, and obviously, from what it seems like, that the police was in the wrong, and police should take responsibility. But even beyond that, I think the bigger issue is that in a sense, obviously it doesn't mean that the police is justified right now. The police is still in the wrong in this. In a sense, you can see why the police might have ignored it, because it's like they have these crazy fucking otaku fans in Japan, like everywhere, right? And they're always like, "Oh, fucking kill you, I'm gonna follow you, blah blah blah," and they're like, "God damn it, this shit again," right? And they can't. The issue is more, they can't guard everybody, right? Because there's so many fucking crazy fans all over the place, right? But then the issue then becomes kind of, you have to make sure that you are actually trying as hard as possible to protect these people, and also something has to be done about this sort of culture, right? There are like these sorts of incidents where they're like, yeah, these like crazed otaku fans snuck up on these people and just like assaulted them, or kept like harassing them and doing all this shit. Like, it's relatively common in Japan, right? Like unusually much more common in Japan, right? So there's something that has to be done about this general culture, I think. So it's very, very unfortunate that it had to come to this, but I think obviously it requires both a change in the policing attitudes as well as some sort of cultural change. And after stuff like what happened with what is it, NGT48, right? The people, the assault. It's just like there's too much like it's like people need to take a chill pill in a sense, right? It's like there's too much of this shit going on, and major part of it is the industry trying to sell that sort of more shit to sell more stuff, but it's very unfortunate that things have sort of come endemic. It has become systemic. It's not just like, oh, there are some crazy people out there. It's like these people are fed this kind of stuff at this point. So
Yeah.
it's very unfortunate. Again, hopefully, again, Maya Tomito can kind of resolve her matters in a speedy and well-deserved manner. And last but definitely not least, we do have to mention this, obviously. But on the 17th of July, there was news of the Kyoto Animation first studio building. I believe that is one of their major buildings. Like they have two major buildings, but this isn't like the main building, but it's the one pretty close to it. It's like you can take a train and it's like 10 minutes away or something like that, right?
Yeah.
NHK reported on Thursday that a fire broke out allegedly due to arson at anime studio Kyoto Animation's first studio building just past 10 a.m. JST. They later on, Kyoto Prefectural Police apprehended the man. The man was accusing Kyoto Animation of plagiarism of his novel or something like that, and was crazy or some shit. I mean, obviously crazy, but that's like apparently his motivation, or so they say in the court transcripts and the interviews. The end results were 30, I believe, 34 people passed away total as of our podcast, and I believe 10 plus people still have significant injuries, are in the hospital, so on and so forth. I believe, right? So that's the total numbers, and the first studio building is mostly pretty much out. Most of the material, like art material, stuff like that, computers, the relevant data are pretty much all gone. Or so they said in recent interviews. Some people have said that like the relevant, like outsourced CGI studios have some of the information, but a lot of the main stuff in there is gone. But yeah, just to get right into it, it is a huge tragedy. 34 people lost in the fire. Apparently, the Kyoto Animation building was a huge fire hazard. People were trying to actually go up to the roof to kind of stay safe until the fire department came, but they were getting caught in the stairwell, right? And they all just kind of collapsed upon each other and died while getting suffocated because of the carbon dioxide buildup. Yeah. And the carbon monoxide buildup.
Apparently, the door to the roof was locked as well.
Yeah. So pretty much a huge fire hazard all around, and everybody kind of got stacked in. A lot of important people are declared missing. Some people managed to make it out all right, like Tatsuya Ishihara, some of the CEOs and the other producers, or again, not as lucky. Again, a huge tragedy, and there are only, I believe, 130 or so people total in Kyoto Animation, like sort of main offices, right? And 34 people. That's a good quarter of the people there. So
half of KyoAni's staff was in that building.
Basically. Yeah, the main pretty much is one of the main buildings too.
I think that I had read a report that there was also people from another company there too.
Yeah.
Because they were hosting some kind of joint meeting.
Yeah.
It was... Apparently, at least one of the victims was from South Korea as well.
Yeah.
So
it's a very what I do want to do is, obviously, a lot of what has been said or needs to be said or has been reported has already been reported 50 times already. So I do want to what I want to do is kind of just pass around to each of the members, have them say sort of a brief word, and in light of the incident, their thoughts, reflections, kind of brief reflections, and then we'll just have a moment of silence afterwards, if that's all right with you guys. So I guess just starting with me, obviously an unfathomable tragedy as somebody who formerly used to love every single work that KyoAni used to put out. I still do love a decent amount of the works. And the most important thing to me was not what somebody else mentioned or in a tweet where it's not just about the fact that it's KyoAni or these are Japanese good animators, right? It's even if KyoAni was burned out, if the animators were there, they will move on to other places and become good animators there, or find other jobs or something like that. Even if the materials were gone, it's you can eventually redraw it. But the loss of life, the people that were living their regular lives, kind of were wiped out by this crazy person, and this fire was again a huge tragedy. And I wish nothing but my prayers and best wishes for those who are both survivors and those who lost their loved ones on that day. So that's pretty much what I had to say. It's the most important thing is that they were people, regular people, and they were caught up in a very unfortunate tragedy. But yeah, Nier, if you want to say just a brief word, tribute, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, so when this was going on, I was pretty upset, right? Because
yeah, I mean, most rational people were.
I mean, I don't know. It's weird, right? You hear so like this stuff, it just doesn't happen in Japan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't happen.
This is like a major, like mainstream incident, like even considering other mainstream incidents too, like earthquakes and stuff like that. It's major.
I mean, it's just it's crazy, right? Like you hear, initially I heard like, oh, KyoAni's building is like it's on fire, right? And you think back to like
a small like fire in the room.
Yeah, like a small fire, like when fucking like Konami had like smoke coming out of the top of it. Like a few years ago. And then a few hours later you hear like 20 people are dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then after that, you hear that the building had some of the most important staff for the studio in it at the time, and it's like that's awful, right?
Yeah.
And then you keep hearing, and the number keeps going up and up and up, and it's like, I don't know. It was just 12 hours of like
surreal,
just getting worse and worse, and it's like there's no way this is actually happening.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I wish, obviously this didn't happen, but it did. I only wish the best for the survivors. And my prayers go out to anybody that's lost loved ones.
Yeah. Dark.
I was pretty much in a really similar situation as Nier. Like when I think we were on Discord when we first heard the news of it, and it was like, first, someone was like, "Oh, well, someone like lit KyoAni on fire." I was like, "All right." Like arson's not exactly the most uncommon thing that you hear about on the news. And then I see the picture and it's like, holy shit, like the whole building is gone. And then, it started like one death and I was like, okay, like, man, this is really terrible.
Yeah.
And
even,
honestly, at the time, I really didn't think it was going to go anywhere from there. I thought it was going to be like, one person and then the 10 injured. And then as the number grew, it just became more unreal and just more like, near you said like this doesn't like happen in Japan, and like I just think in general like this just doesn't happen like anywhere. Like you don't hear like a fire break out, and it's like even as bad as like fires are, it's like you'd never expect like this amount of just loss of life and damage. Like to just hear about something like this.
Yeah.
So definitely my condolences to the families of anyone who was lost in the fire. I really only hope that at the very least this becomes something that like Japanese media really takes up and just looks into.
Yeah, any sort of prevention.
Yeah, any sort of like fire prevention and codes, just to really like prevent anything of this magnitude from even like ever having the potential of happening, whether it be arson or just a fire breaking out in general.
Yeah. Or any sort of like mass danger incidents.
Yeah, that was the biggest like question that I still have is like, would this have happened if it was just like if it wasn't arson? Like, because I feel like that should definitely be like something that they consider, because if like if the building had so many things wrong with it that this sort of situation still would have happened, like that can't be a like there needs to be a better standard for sure.
Yeah. It's so unfortunate that again there obviously this situation happened very quickly, but it was also a situation where there definitely could have been better safety measures, preventative measures put in place beforehand. But toast. Just any words, tribute, whatever.
Honestly, I'm not at the stage where I'm ready to completely talk about this.
Yeah, that's
like,
fine.
It's still really raw for me, but
yeah.
I'll try and do what I can.
Yeah. It's fine if you don't, you don't have to give us like a whole speech or anything like that. But if you do want to, yeah, just if you don't want to,
yeah, I got this. What can I say that's already been said? I mean, I echo everyone's feelings about it, but I guess I'll just share some personal thoughts I have about this.
Yeah.
About Kyoto Animation. Since what is it? I've been a fan of Kyoto Animation's stuff for a long time. They're basically what the first major studio that I've been aware of. I mean, ever since I guess Full Metal Panic is the second raid one. And that was back in what the early 2000s. That was back in my heydays of me doing stuff whenever I want. And then and then there was Haruhi, and that one was I think that the first time in a long time that I was blown away by how an anime looked and felt would be the episode where the one where the school festival episode where Haruhi took up the guitar and started playing. And the song God Knows, and I was like, I was pretty entranced by it. Like, this is probably the first time when I thought that, wow, anime could look like this. I mean, you've got your basic classics and all, and they're cool, but I guess that would be the first time where I really saw through Kyoto Animation's animation style and how polished it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Canon 2006, and watching that was definitely the first time that I wholeheartedly cried during an anime.
Mm-hmm.
And it still gets me to this day. And then then we get to Clannad, and that's one of the most uh, probably the most life-changing anime that I ever saw. I mean, back in 2007, I was in a pretty bad state in my life, and watching Clannad was probably one of the most
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
it was one of the most one of the things that I could look forward to every week.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely entranced by all of the characters, the story. It's, I mean, I consider Clannad probably one of the most, probably a, a, a perfect anime in my eyes. Like, I was super. Every one of the character arcs in Clannad could basically be one. I could basically be one sort of a series by itself, and that still hasn't changed for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Clannad is definitely the one anime that changed my life. And hearing this about Kyoto Animation,
Mm-hmm.
even though even though I haven't really followed much of their works often, like Chunibyo is cool and all, but I don't consider it one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else do they have? Phantom World, that one's okay too.
Yeah, they had a lot of stuff kind of going through.
But
Um,
this, like, why did it have to happen to them? You know, they
that's
definitely did not deserve this. And I don't mean to be rude, but out of all the anime studios, it definitely should not have been Kyoto Animation who suffered this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a tragedy to happen to anybody, let alone any studio or anything like that. But especially for some a studio as prominent and as beloved as Kyoto Animation, it's uh it's definitely an additional sort of sadness, a tragedy.
I
So
I mean, I don't know. I'm still a mess, but
yeah,
I guess I mean until we hear more news, that's all I gotta say. Like
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
even I don't I don't really have that any new words that anyone else could have other than I really hope that they can recover. This
yeah,
isn't something that should have happened to them. Not to
yeah.
KyoAni, not specifically towards like no one should have suffered what happened, but not
Especially
KyoAni,
for yeah, yeah,
not them.
yeah, yeah. And thank you, guys, for, again, all the words. Again, sharing your thoughts, and I just want to take just a quick, just 5 seconds of silence, just to again prayers for survivors, those who lost their loved ones. Okay, so again, we'll if there are any sort of significant updates on that, check back up on later episodes. And on that note, again, pretty much done with the news for this time. Thank you guys for uh, listening in this podcast. Again, if you guys think, if you guys find some sort of reliable sources or where you guys can send anything reassuring, any sort of your prayers, your wishes, your thoughts, um, your helpful words. Maybe you buy merchandise, KyoAni stuff, anything that you think you can do to help in even a small manner, then please do so. And with that, we are done with this episode of 4PlayerAnimecast. Again, this was episode 23. Next, episode will be all right up, all right up and our usual selves doing, the series, more anime series. We'll be trying to cover a little bit more of the huge brand name stuff probably that are getting into gear by that time. So watch out for that. And with that, we are done with the podcast. If you like what we do, please check us out at every other Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/PlayerAnimecast. That's with the number 4, where we talk about the latest and greatest in Japanese animation media. So follow us here. Follow us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter. Handle at 4PPAnimecast. Again, all with 4. If you want to look at our previous content, check us out on Twitch VODs page, as well as on our YouTube channel, PlayerAnimecast, where you can check out our previous episode recordings. So check us out here, check us out there, and as always, we'll see you next time.